So sorry for the delayed start, everybody. Welcome to our info session on study abroad programs in Australia. Me and Anna are here to share a little bit about our respective programs. We both did programs in kind of different regions in Australia, or I guess we actually did in the same region. We were both in Queensland. However, the structure of our programs is a little bit different, so we thought it'd be nice to kind of combine our program info sessions to give you a comprehensive overview on like the variation we have in our programs. So my name is Caroline. I am a senior biochemistry major with a certificate in science communication. I studied abroad at James Cook University in the spring semester of my junior year, so 1 year ago.
And then I'm Anna. I'm a junior and I'm studying neurobiology and kinesiology. And I went abroad last spring, so I was a sophomore at the University of Queensland Exchange, which is in Brisbane, Australia.
So as you can see here, I made a little slide of just some of the perks you have of studying abroad in Australia, from the unique kind of natural environment that Australia offers to the wildlife that you really can't find anywhere else in the world, to the really unique food and sports culture. Studying abroad in Australia is definitely sure to give you a once in a lifetime study abroad experience that is very unique to this region of the world. So up first, a little bit of information about my program. Let me just pull up my notes to make sure that I hit all the main points. So sorry. I should be able to. So first, sharing some information about my study abroad program, James Cook University. James Cook University has campuses located in both Townsville and Cairns, Australia, but the Townsville campus is a lot bigger with more courses offered, so I ultimately decided that the Townsville location would be the best fit for me because a lot of the courses I was interested in taking were only offered at this campus. So keep in mind that it is important to make sure the courses you're interested in taking are offered at the campus that you intend to enroll at because sometimes it's kind of difficult to see that on the website. So you want to make sure it says Townsville or Cairns campus. So talking about program structure, my program was an exchange, meaning that I did not travel with a cohort of other UW students. Rather, I was one of only a few UW students in my program. All of my courses were taught exclusively by JCU faculty, and I was in the classroom with mostly full-time JCU students in addition to a few study abroad students from other institutions around the world. So James Cook University has both semester-long academic year-long programs. They recently switched to a trimester model, meaning that if you choose to study abroad during your spring semester at UW, you'll be studying abroad at JCU's first trimester. Or if you chose to study abroad in your fall semester at UW, you'll be studying abroad during JCU's trimester 3. And the academic year is trimesters 3 and 1 together. So housing, JCU offers apartment and residence hall options for students. Most students who study abroad at JCU decide to live in one of the many residence halls offered on campus. These all have unique structures and allow you to kind of choose the housing option that's the best fit for you. Some residence halls have dining halls and meal plans included, while others do not. So my residence hall, Baralga Yumba, was one of the newer and more modern residence halls on campus, and it had a master's chef style kitchen instead of a dining hall, which I thought was a really interesting concept. So residents were responsible for buying their own groceries. This allowed me to kind of cook my own meals on my own schedule, which was really nice. The kitchen was also equipped with like personal pantry lockers, fridge lockers, freezer lockers, so you can just keep all of your stuff down there and super organized. But yeah. So in terms of academics at JCU, as you can see from this long list, JCU is a great fit for STEM-related majors, including various disciplines of ecology, biology, zoology, environmental science, botany, geology. But also do keep in mind that whether or not a study abroad program is a good fit for you doesn't depend only on what your major is. There are a variety of other kind of factors to keep in mind here. So I won't go too far into the slides since these courses were pretty specific to my personal experience, but I will say that one of the reasons I selected JCU as a study abroad program was because I was really interested in taking courses in marine science. This is an area that JCU is very well known for, especially since it has the Great Barrier Reef right out its back door. Two out of the three classes I took at JCU were marine science focused, and I loved both of them. Those were the MB 2050 and 2070, such cool classes. Um, this also kind of helped me like approach my biochemistry major from a new perspective, which was really cool. And I also put the credit scale on the slide just to kind of give you an idea of what JCU credits are equivalent to. I'm not sure if Anna's experience was similar with this, but each of my three courses were worth three JCU credits, meaning that I was enrolled in 12 UW-Madison credits during my study abroad experience. So transportation, there was a variety of different types of transportation that I commonly used during my study abroad program. At UW-Madison, I'm so used to walking everywhere since it's just such a walkable city and everything's so close together. But when I was studying abroad at JCU, I found that I needed to take the bus a lot more than what I was used to, just because stuff like shopping centers was like a little bit out of walking distance, like a 5-minute bus ride, but no big deal once I got used to it. My friends and I would also take the ferry to Magnetic Island, which is an island right off the coast of Townsville with hiking and beaches that I'm going to be talking about in some future slides. This was a great way to escape campus for a while, and there were also student discounts on the ferry tickets, which was a big perk. It was about a 30 to 40-minute bus ride from campus to the ferry port, and then a 45-ish minute ride to Maggie Island. I also took the train from Townsville to Cairns a few times. Cairns is a little bit north of Townsville and a big hub for trips out to the Great Barrier Reef. This was a really good cost-friendly opportunity to get away from Townsville for the weekend and kind of see more of Northeast Queensland. And finally, some colleges offer rental cars, which is a good opportunity to use. All you need is a valid driver's license. And if you have a US license, that is completely valid to rent out a rental car. They usually let you take them out for only like 1 to 2 hours, and you have to like sign up on a sheet, but definitely something to keep in mind for grocery trips and stuff like that. So next, I want to talk about some of the social opportunities at JCU, including student orgs, sports, and events. I found that joining student orgs was a great way to meet students with similar interests to me. The clubs I joined at JCU were JCU Marine Society, Dive Club, the Finstitute, which is a student-led shark conservation consortium, and also a non-university affiliated Ultimate Frisbee League, which I did with some friends I made in my dorm. Um, One really interesting thing I found in Australia was that joining sports was kind of like the main social outlet for a lot of students at the schools, and a lot more like prevalent to student life than it is at UW. Like most students I met in the dorms were on sports teams or activities, and I just thought that was really unique and cool. So definitely recommend checking that out. Some other social opportunities to discuss. There were a few dorm events that were held throughout the semester, such as like parties or get-togethers, cookouts, karaoke nights. I'd also recommend that if you're, well, you are a study abroad student, so I definitely recommend that you guys attend the International Student Orientation, and other international student events. It's a great way to kind of like build that support network of people that are traveling really far away from home to study at JCU. So some other things to do in Townsville. Um, During my time at JCU, I often visited the Strand, which with friends. This is a beach area right off the coast or right off of the city center with an array of shops and restaurants to choose from. And it also offers a great view of Maggie Island. As I mentioned before, Maggie Island made for a great day trip. I'd come here with friends to swim or hike, and the scenery here was really beautiful. It also has Northern Australia's largest population of wild koalas, which is really cool. I also have this list of other popular Townsville spots that I didn't get to visit during my time, but I've heard great things from other students about them, like Billabong Wildlife Sanctuary, Crystal Creek, Castle Hill. Those are all like within, I think, like 45 minutes of Townsville and just great activities to do with friends. I know Billabong is like really well known in Townsville. From my pictures, you can see the sunsets were like one of the best parts, I think, of studying abroad in Australia. They were like actually unreal, like every day. I mean, not during the rainy season, but when it like got sunny out, the sunsets were incredible. Talking a little bit about outside excursions in the Northeast Queensland region, along with the many opportunities that are offered in the Townsville area, there's also a lot of opportunities in the Northeast Queensland region in general. Some of my favorite moments were taking a dive trip with the JCU Dive Club. On this trip, I actually got PADI open water certified, so this trip was like part of my certification process. We did 4 open water dives off of the Palm Islands, which is a little group of islands in the Great Barrier Reef. It's like a protected marine park, I believe. And since the dive instructors are members of the JCU Dive Club who are volunteers, I was able to get certified for a lot cheaper than if I'd done it through an external organization, which is really nice. I won't talk too much more about diving, but if you are interested at all in like diving or like learning about the dive club or that process, I am going to put my email in the chat at the end of this presentation, so feel free to just email me about that, but I'd love to talk more about it. Another of my favorite moment was train trips to Cairns. I took the train to Cairns twice during my time at JCU. It was around a 5 hour train trip and 50 Australian dollars each way, which is actually a really good deal for the distance of travel between Townsville and Cairns. And as I mentioned earlier, this is a really good budget-friendly opportunity to explore more of the Northeast Queensland region. In Cairns, there are so many things to do, like snorkel trips, dive trips, glass bottom boat trips out to the Great Barrier Reef. Cairns is really known as like a major takeoff point for trips out to the Great Barrier Reef, so plenty to do there. It also has like more of that big city feel than Townsville, so great place to go for just like another like eating, shopping, entertainment scene. So this is a little slide, a rough day in my life. Obviously my class schedule changed every day, so this isn't exact by any means. And I was also only enrolled in 12 UW credits during my time at JCU, so I was a lot less busy than what I was used to at UW-Madison, but I thought this was a really great way to just kind of like adjust to, my new life in Australia and just like take in everything and not be too stressed about school or other activities. So my typical day, usually like 9 a.m. to 4 or 5 p.m., was class and then studying. I did find the classes to be like very, very comparable, if not sometimes like more difficult than classes at UW-Madison, just because there are a lot of like major assessments that are worth like a lot of your grade. So I definitely had to put in like a lot of study hours and like extra projects and stuff like that. 5 to 7, more evening time. I typically go to the gym or like maybe a nice walk outside. Once a week I had frisbee and that was super fun. We like played games against other teams in the league. And then I just skipped through like so many slides. Then I would cook and eat dinner again in that like Master Chef style kitchen situation. And at night I would do my homework or hang out with friends or just have downtime. Pretty chill. That's all for me.
Okay, so I'll try to go a little quick through my stuff because a lot of it is kind of similar. But I studied abroad, University of Queensland, which again is in Brisbane. It's exchange and direct enroll, so same thing. I kind of went with a couple UW-Madison students to Australia. I know a couple of them moved room together, but I really did the experience on my own. So I wasn't with a cohort or anything. Duration. they either do a semester or a full calendar year, so you could do either or, but they do not have a summer option. Um, the language is English, and housing, a lot of international students choose to do the residence halls, but I chose to do an apartment, and there's a bunch of international. Wait, there's a question. When did this duration start and end? Okay, for my program, so I did a semester. The duration of the program was like middle February to like middle June. So it starts a little bit later than our spring semester, but it also ends a little bit later. Um, it's just because their like academic year is flipped because their seasons are flipped. So their summer is our winter break, and then our winter break is their summer break. So we start just a little bit differently. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much the structure of UQ. Oh, you want to go to the next slide? Okay, so transportation, kind of similar again to Caroline. Um, I ended up having an apartment that was 30 minutes from campus, so it was a little weird not having like the walking distance. But the bus system was fairly cheap and it went right to campus and pretty much anywhere that you needed to go around Brisbane. So there was always that. Train and ferry, pretty much same thing. There are a bunch of opportunities to go to different parts of the city, either through the train or through the ferry. So if you wanted a nice little day outside, you could always do the ferry. And then the way that they set up their transportation through all three of them were through a Translate Go card, um, which is just kind of like a bus pass, but just for all three transportation. So it was really nice that you only needed one card to do any type of transportation. Um, so yeah, pretty simple for transportation. Okay, academics. I touch more based on the academic. Okay, there's another question. Okay, wait, do you pay um Q tuition or UW tuition? So you pay tuition through study abroad through UW. So you'll never have to pay your tuition to like UQ or James Cook or wherever you go. It'll always go through UW-Madison. Um, So yeah, and we'll go through like cost sheets and stuff as well about each program a little bit later. But yeah, we'll have more specifics on that. In terms of academics, yeah. So I did 3 or 4 courses per semester, and if you can see on the bottom, there's a credit scale. So 1 credit at UQ was worth 2 credits at UW and so forth. Um, the difference in their academic style is that they had less class throughout the week, but they were for longer durations. And they had less assignments, but their exams and essays were weighted more. So it's it was really important that like we stayed on top of our academics throughout the semester, even though we had less assignments. Um, we still needed to know the content because like the final exam is worth like 60% of your grade. So it was really important that like you stayed on top of your academics. So it was just a little bit of a different academic style, but it was pretty easy to adapt to as well. Um, Another key point about the academics is that your weekly class schedule changes every week. So at UW-Madison, obviously you have the same classes every single week. Um, and yeah, you go to the same classes, but at UQ, they had different classes every week. Like maybe you didn't have your lecture one week or you didn't have your lab. So it was really important to like stay on top of your schedule every week and make sure you're not just showing up for class that's not happening. So that one was definitely interesting. And they also use Blackboard instead of Canvas as well. So it's kind of just a learning curve to understand their academic style versus our academic style, but it's definitely tolerable. And yeah, it was honestly fun trying to learn more about how they do their academics. So yeah. So for housing, like I said, I stayed in an apartment complex, but there are definitely opportunities to stay on campus. Um, but yeah, a lot of my international friends also stay off campus, so there's definitely multiple opportunities. Um, I did list a couple of the apartment complexes that are highly recommended if you do want to go to Brisbane. So I stayed in Scape, and I have a couple pictures of what like my apartment complex looked like. But there was also Student One and Uni Lodge. And the nice thing about these apartment complexes is they host a bunch of free events throughout the semester every month. So there's about like 10 to 15 events that they host, ranging from puppies, like 5Ks, free food, arts and crafts. They had a bunch of events for everything and anything that people could be interested in, and a bunch of international events too. So it was really fun to meet the people at your apartment complex, as well as yeah, meet other international students. Price range for apartments. So it definitely depends on where you're looking. I believe mine, I want to say it was 900 USD a month. I don't remember exactly what that is in AUD. But I do know Student One and Uni Lodge were a little bit more expensive than that. Um, but yeah, I think it's just slightly more expensive, but you also get more with your apartment complexes. They have like a ton of amenities with it, so it is a little bit more, or if you pay roughly that amount at Madison, then it's kind of the same. But yeah, for me, it was a little bit more. But there are definitely other places that you could look that are slightly less than that. So yeah. So a little bit of social life. I met a lot of people actually working at UQ as a ref, because I ref at UW-Madison, so I thought it would be a really cool opportunity to see kind of how they do it in a different country. So I met a bunch of people through there, and I participated through a bunch of campus sports as well. So that was super fun. And then a lot of where I met my friends were through social events that were held by the campus. Um, so there are a lot of international events, just like Caroline said, which is really interesting to learn about all the different people from all over the world. There's also just like speed friending and cookouts, and they had boat parties and just a bunch of like really cool events that you can meet people continuously throughout the year. So yeah, it's just like I highly recommend just taking advantage of all the opportunities that they have on campus, because yeah, like speed friending is kind of like, oh, like that's a little bit silly, but also it's where I met some of my best friends that I still talk to today. So yeah, a lot of the campus and a lot of the students are very engaged with campus events as well. So definitely recommend just like giving that a chance and like just meeting as many people as you can. Okay. Off campus, um, my friends and I did a lot of traveling or exploring the city. There's a bunch of like different parts of Brisbane that have like different parts of the city. So it's really cool to just continue exploring like different parts of it. But also if you want to go out of Brisbane, there's a bunch of cool places kind of around Brisbane. So there's Byron Bay, and I give kind of like the, oh, a car ride's 2 hours versus train ride 5 hours. Um, but obviously for a car ride, you have to like rent a car, whereas train, you can just use your go card. So it's kind of like if you want less time versus like less money. But yeah, then there's also Sunshine Coast and Gold Coast, which are really close to Brisbane. So those were always like super fun to go with your friends because it's just a super pretty atmosphere just to go on the weekend instead of studying. Um, Obviously do study when you need to, but if you do have a free weekend, those were always one of our favorite places to go. The beaches there are so pretty. There's also the zoo, so if you don't get to see any wild kangaroos or koalas, there's always that. My friends and I went, and it was like such a cool opportunity. And then also we just had a bunch of like cooking movie nights if we didn't necessarily want to go out, um, which you can kind of see in some of the pictures. Um, so yeah, you don't always have to be traveling all the time, but yeah, there are just a bunch of like different like things that we try to incorporate into our social life off campus, make sure that we're still like, going on adventures, but also like spending time with each other. So yeah, those are kind of some of the things that you can do off campus around Brisbane, and then also you can always travel to like Sydney or Melbourne or Cairns, which I have a couple pictures from like the Great Barrier Reef on here. So yeah, there's definitely a bunch of opportunities that you can just go travel in Australia and see so many pretty places. So yeah, there's that too. Okay, and then my typical day in the life is I kind of broke it down in like half days because I didn't, yeah, mine was always kind of different as well. But yeah, normally I had classes in the morning. My friends and I would grind studying during the day. I try to work out in there at some point. Usually I was really busy, so I tried to do it kind of like noonish. And then afterwards, I would either work as a ref or I'd hang out with my friends, do some movie nights. And then yeah, either groceries, study more, do some chores. But yeah, it was also really nice where I lived because at the Scape that I lived at, there was a huge mall right next to it, like a 2-minute walk. So it was always really nice to be able to go there and go shopping or do groceries, and you don't need a bus or anything. So yeah, there was always that as well. And then I have a couple of tips and tricks if you want to go to Australia, if you do go to Australia, is it doesn't always seem like the UV is that high, but always wear sunscreen because I would get burnt so quickly. Um, and yeah, you don't really expect it. It's usually like cloudy out, and all of a sudden you're just sunburnt. It just makes no sense. But yeah, so that's one of my biggest tips and tricks. Second, immerse yourself in the culture. There's so many international students as well as Australians that you can meet, and they all have so many cool things, so many cool backgrounds that you can learn about. So just be open-minded. Try to meet as many people as you can. Oh, yeah. Um, Obviously, go to class, stay on top of your schoolwork. It is definitely more independent because you have less assignments, so you're not as held accountable, but your exams are weighted more. So it is so crucial that you go to class and continue with the content throughout the semester. So it's not like the end of the semester and you're freaking out and you haven't learned anything. So it's so crucial that you stay on top of that. Um, Obviously, again, participate in campus events, join clubs. A lot of students are very engaged in like being a part of campus, so it's so easy to meet any people with this shared interests and stuff. So highly recommend. Um, Also with studying abroad, it can be really hard to just get out of your comfort zone, take the risk, like make friends, especially on your own as like an exchange program with like no cohort to go with. It's so important that you just take the risk because the reward is worth the risk. So just be extroverted, go on a trip with like new people. Like there's so many things that you can do, and it's definitely rewarding. Also confide in your friends and family back home, but there is a 15-hour time difference, so it is really hard to always be able to communicate with them. But yeah, if you're ever feeling like homesick or you're not really sure what to do, like make sure you're still, you know, getting support from back home. And then obviously cherish your time abroad. It's one of the best experiences I would say I've had. I'm sure Caroline, a lot of our coworkers feel the same way. It's just a really great experience to learn about culture in a different place that you may not normally be familiar with, and it's just a rewarding thing. It even changed my career path. So yeah, it's just a really cool way to learn more about yourself, about the world, and just gain perspective going forward in your future career. And then, yeah, so other programs in Australia, um, there is a couple. Oh,
So sorry, everyone. I was not anticipating this many technical difficulties. Okay. Going back to this. Go ahead, Anna. Sorry.
okay. Yeah, there's obviously a couple other programs that are obviously slightly different, but mostly similar in a lot of ways in other parts of Australia. So you could always go to Sydney, Melbourne, I don't know. There's just like a bunch of different opportunities that you could do. A lot of them are usually semester or academic year, but we do have a couple summer programs as well. So the UW Disability Rights and Access in Australia and the Rainforest Studies. So if you're interested in not necessarily one of our programs, but something similar, you can always look into those, and you can see that on our program page. Um, you can just search up like UW-Madison study abroad programs. It'll bring you up to the program search page. You can look up the country, any filters that you want, and then yeah, you can look more into these programs as well.
So in terms of program structure, there's a variety of different program structures that our programs have. So our study abroad programs really fall within three broad categories that structure your experience. These are UW signature, provider, and exchange programs. And this slide is just a general illustration of the differences in program experience based on our program structures. So, for example, on our exchange programs, you could be the only UW or US student in a classroom at a local university with students from your host country. This is kind of the structure that my program was. And you'd be taught by a professor from that institution. So, in contrast, our UW signature programs are typically going to be you're studying abroad with a cohort of other UW-Madison students and learning from a UW instructor. These programs are specifically created for UW students. They offer a high level of on-site support and may be prioritized for UW study abroad scholarships. And in some cases, we also partner with a third party to offer unique study abroad experiences. These are called provider programs. And on these, you can typically expect to take classes with students from other US universities, learning kind of from a mix of experts and host country instructors, and also enjoy a high level of on-site support, including organized excursions and opportunities to engage with hands-on research, fieldwork, or internship opportunities. You can visit the Choose a Program page on our website to learn more about these program structures and get more of a detailed breakdown.
Um, yeah, so more again about our program search page. We have the website link on the slide, so you can always copy and paste that, take a picture, look it up. But yeah, again, when you go to our program search page, you can either search what you're looking for or you can filter. So there's structure, major, duration, country, region, so many different types of filters that you can look for. And then it will bring up kind of different opportunities that you can filter for. And then you can press on it and it'll bring you to the program page. And here you can find your academics, life abroad, logistics, cost and funding, etc. So it'll give you a lot more in-depth specifics about the program that you're looking at. So for Australia, for example, if you wanted to look at the University of Sydney, you could look on there, fill out cost and funding, say you want to see how much it'll be. There's going to be a cost sheet there that you can press and it'll give you a breakdown of all the costs that you'll be kind of working with, and then it'll give you the total cost sheet or total cost amount for the program. So it's really helpful to just get like more specifics on the program. And of course, if you have any questions, any further questions, there's a contacts tab as well, where it'll bring you to the enrollment manager and the study abroad advisor or financial specialist that is specific to that program. And you can always reach out to them as well. So a bunch of information that you can look up for more specifics on the program you're interested in.
Talking a little bit about fieldwork and internship opportunities in Australia. Many of our programs in Australia also offer internship opportunities. So if you're interested in interning abroad, we recommend that you set up an advising appointment with an advisor on our intern abroad advising team. The two Australia programs that offer internship opportunities are Australian National University Exchange Program in Canberra and the University of Sydney Exchange Program in Sydney. We also have a program with a fieldwork or research component, which is the SFS Rainforest Studies Program in Yungaburra. You can find more information about each of these programs on our website. And here's a little kind of statement from a student who interned abroad in Australia and kind of her experience with that. Um, so yeah, if you have any other questions, definitely feel free to set up an appointment with one of our intern abroad advisors.
Yeah, and then we obviously do have a lot of resources for students if they need support, whether they're just going through the process, trying to figure out how to study abroad, or during the process or after. We have a bunch of identity resource pages um, that kind of go through different ways you may be feeling about your identity going abroad and what you can maybe look out for or be aware of that might be different in that country. So those are really helpful in case you're, feeling a little uneasy about going into it. We do have a bunch of advising and info sessions, of course. So if you have any specific questions about, oh no, like I think some least went through or whatever, you can always ask them for more information. We obviously have orientations to prepare you for going abroad and during on campus when you are abroad. We also have a 24/7 emergency phone. So we obviously take into account that time differences are a thing. So we always have someone on the phone no matter what time it is there, what time it is here, to make sure that we can answer your questions and help you in the best way possible. And then, of course, financially, we do have a bunch of scholarships. We give out 2.5 million, maybe more, honestly, in the next year. But yeah, we gave out 2.5 million in scholarships last year, so it could go up. I believe there was a question. Okay, where can I get in contact with intern abroad advisors? So, oh, perfect. Caroline just responded. Um,
Uh, yeah, I
Go
guess,
ahead.
oh, what did I just do? For getting in contact, that's a really good question. It's kind of difficult to like navigate to the internship component. Our study abroad website doesn't really provide like direct information about that. So if you want to search up just in your browser, like intern abroad UW, you should see the website, intern study abroad wis.edu, internship component. Or maybe it is on the study abroad website, but just in a separate internships tab. Yeah, it is. So if you go to like next to make your plan programs internships, you can click on that and find more information about that, and then go to the faculty and advisors section, and it should be able to take you to their Starfish portals. But
And of
that's a really
course,
great
if you
question.
have any more like questions or confusion about that, you can always just call our number and we can always transfer you to the intern advisors as well. So there's that option as well. And then, yeah, student stories. Caroline, you want to
Um,
take this?
Oh yeah, I can take a slide. So connecting with previous students is another great way to learn about and prepare for an international experience. So in the Student Voices tab of our program pages, you can see photos, blogs, and reflections that were submitted by previous students on that program. And last but not least, for you, those of you on Facebook and Instagram, I would encourage you to follow us at IAP Study Abroad. Each week, usually on a Thursday, one of our students who's currently abroad takes over our Instagram stories, and that's really fun to see. This is a great way to like kind of see a day in their life and have an opportunity to ask some questions and get them answered.
And then, yeah, things to consider. Packing. Yeah, it does depend on what region you choose to study in. So in Queensland, we mainly dealt with very hot weather, so it's pretty much always hot. You don't need a winter jacket or anything. Whereas like New South Wales and Victoria regions are a lot cooler, so it's very important that you just kind of pack for what region you're going to kind of study in. Um, Sunscreen. I touched on this, but we're touching on it again. Bring sunscreen or buy sunscreen. It's definitely gonna help. Um,
Like,
and then
seriously, bring sunscreen.
yeah, yeah. Um, Also, sunscreen's a little bit expensive in Australia, which rightfully so, but if there's a way that you can bring it from America, highly recommend. And then helpful travel apps. WhatsApp is one of the biggest apps I used while I was abroad. It's just an easy way to get in contact with your friends and family when you change your number, and so um, it's just yeah, it's just an easier way to talk when you have like international numbers in different regions. So highly recommend that. Uh, what is this? Revolut?
Oh yeah,
Revolut?
I could talk a little bit about that.
Okay,
So this was an
perfect.
app. Actually, I had like a couple, I would definitely like talk to other international students about it, but it's kind of like Venmo, but for Australia. So they actually don't really use Venmo or like Cash App, that stuff over there. At least that was my experience at Townsville. Instead, people will like give you their bank number, like their routing number, and then you like transfer them
Mm,
money, and you can do that on Revolut, which is basically you can pay people in Australian dollars directly to their Australian bank account, which is really nice. Also, hotel and flight booking apps, Booking.com, Hopper, Expedia, those were really useful to me when I was just kind of planning affordable ways to take little excursions around the region. And event ticket apps too, like Viator and Get Your Guide. Those are useful for like if you want to book, I don't know, like a snorkel trip in Cairns, like usually things will be done on apps like that. Some other notes, bring a power adapter, have cash handy for public transportation at all times, and also keep your passport in a secure location because you definitely don't want to lose your passport. I'd recommend having like one place in your dorm where you like always keep it, and then maybe bringing like a crossbody bag when you're like going out of town and like keeping it like just in that crossbody bag like the whole time. But yeah, do you have anything else to add, Anna?
Um, Kind of with like the secure location thing. When I went to Australia, I made sure to bring like a ton of locks, just to put over like my luggage or like if I was ever like traveling somewhere, I made sure to bring a lock so then, my passport could stay safe. So I think with like the security thing, anything you can do to just make sure that your stuff, like you don't get stuck in another country, please do. So bring locks. If you can get there's like secure wallets to make sure that people don't take your bank information or your credit card information. So yeah, just really anything to kind of amp your security. Australia honestly is a pretty safe place. I never really had any issues with anyone trying to pickpocket or anything, but you never know. So it's just make sure that you're kind of preparing just ahead of time in case that could be an issue. Yeah.
I can take the slide if you want.
Yeah.
So program costs. Our programs vary in cost a lot depending on a number of factors like duration, location, organized excursions, if housing or meals are provided, and even student residency status. So you can find our program cost sheets really easily on the program page, like Anna talked about before. You can just search the program on studyabroad.wis.edu and then click on the program. Click on the cost and funding tab on the top of the page or scroll like all the way to the bottom of the page and you'll also find it that way. From there, you can get a link to a detailed cost sheet, which breaks down every single cost on the program, costs that would be like included with the program. So excluding like outside trips and stuff that you buy, of course. But that's really nice for getting a detailed breakdown. So you can easily compare and contrast programs that way.
Yeah, and then kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but scholarships and funding. Cost does vary by program, and a lot of students are worried that they may not be able to fund their study abroad trip, but we do have a bunch of scholarships that we give out every year. Some of the biggest ones are the study abroad scholars, Badgers Go Green Abroad, Early Bird, and our study abroad promise. And you can kind of see like the different ranges and amounts on there. I believe for the study abroad scholars, if you go a semester, it's like I want to say like 5,000, and if you go for a year, it's like 8 to 10,000. Um, so that's kind of just like the range. But yeah, we have financial aid as well. So any financial aid that you get through Madison, you can use towards your study abroad program as well. Because the tuition does go through your UW-Madison account and your billing there, so you can use your financial aid for studying abroad. But yeah, we do give out a bunch of scholarships, so highly recommend apply. We do our best to give out as many as possible. So yeah.
And the scholarship information is also going to be on the cost and funding tab, I believe. You can
Mhm.
look or see like links to scholarship resources. The biggest one is probably going to be Wisconsin Scholarship Hub or Wish. You can click on that link and search for the scholarships that are listed on the program page that apply to that program and easily find the deadlines, the amount there. It's really well laid out. So highly cannot emphasize enough, recommend that you guys take advantage of scholarships because there are a lot more opportunities than you think.
Mhm.
Oh, and this was the sheet that I was missing. So these are some of the application deadline timelines. And if you have any other questions about this, feel free to ask us or like Anna said, call our office.
Mhm.
So some funding resources, we have a number of resources available to help you financially plan for your program. So first, our budget worksheet will help you to identify your anticipated expenses so you can kind of get a more complete picture of how much the program's going to cost you. We also offer free passport photos for all UW-Madison students, so you can reduce costs that way because you won't have to apply for a passport and visa. Or you still will, but you won't have to pay to get the picture taken. So that's a big cost cutter. In addition, our pre-departure assistance program helps students to pay for their program acceptance deposit and flight booking costs. And this is an interest-free loan that will be billed to your student financial account through the bursar's office at the same time that your program fee is due. And finally, we offer financial drop-in advising and funding information sessions. Our funding info sessions are kind of a deeper dive into understanding all the program costs. And you can also talk things like scholarships, creative funding strategies, and also just get all of your questions answered.
Okay, and then next steps, identify your goals, figure out where you want to study abroad, how it'll help your academic career, um, when you want to do it in your college career, what you want to get out of it. Just, yeah, make sure you know what you want to do, and meet with your advisors to talk about it to figure out when you can study abroad, what classes you should take abroad. Consider your budget, of course, apply for financial aid and scholarships. There are a bunch of opportunities. And believe me, yeah, there's more than you think. So just please do apply. Um, Connect with return students. So you can always connect with Caroline, you can always connect with me. We're always more than willing to talk about our experiences, give advice if you have any questions, again, more about apartments, for example. I can definitely help that out. So I can also put my email in the chat if you guys, again, have any more specific questions about that. More than willing to help. Um, Update your passport. Yeah, there are a bunch of delays in getting passports processed and getting them back to you. So always apply sooner rather than later. And again, we give out free passport services. So highly, highly, highly recommend take advantage of that. And then of course, apply to your program. Make sure that you do apply by the deadline so you can go when you want to go and have a really rewarding experience in hopefully Australia.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, I guess that's the end of our
okay.
presentation. Thank you so much, everybody. I'd also like to point out if you're also thinking about like a different program in Australia, like Sydney or Melbourne, still feel free to reach out to Anna or I. I know that we've kind of been a little bit around Australia, so even though we didn't study abroad in those locations, we are kind of the two interns in the office who studied in this region of the world and could definitely answer any questions that you might have just about studying in Australia in general.
Yeah. Any questions or all right, well, if we don't have any questions, I hope you guys all have a good rest of your day. If you do, we'll stay around for a little bit and we can try and answer those. But yeah, feel free to leave if you're good and you have no questions.